Hey, did you film today?
Yes.
Okay, I'm Emily.
Hey, I'm Adam.
Adam,
the audio
thank
is
you.
terrible on the stream, though.
Okay, well, thank you for filming.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
You got a second to do an on-camera question?
What's the question?
Oh, I could ask it to you right now if you want.
What's the question?
It's about, you were talking about a lot about innovation and that kind of stuff, about what's the solution to fixing like our infrastructure, that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay. So you're looking for innovative solutions?
It's still live, yeah. So we could just turn, okay? Let's see here.
Okay, so you want me to have what do you want me to answer?
So I'm curious if you think that, I know a lot of the things that were talked about up here, as far as, especially with our infrastructure, like water, traffic, was innovation. What do you think about public-private partnerships? Do you think that those are a good thing? You know, do you think that corporations should get involved with our infrastructure?
So I feel like you just asked me like 3 questions in one, but I will say that an innovative approach to our transportation and infrastructure needs is to look at the layers of everything that's going on and to address all of them simultaneously. So when you just focus on the big roads and you put a lot of dollars there, you're going to have ripple effects and domino effects into everything else. And so you've got to take a multi-layered approach with solutions to make sure that you don't create more problems for people by solving a big problem. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah. So I know that you asked about public-private partnerships. Is that what you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mentioned that Eagle Mountain brought in Meta, and that with some tax incentives to bring them here. The world is using tax incentives to entice businesses, and so if we don't participate in that, we'll lose out on that. But I believe that our city councils are the right people to be doing that because they are the ones that know their communities best, and they're the ones that know where they want to go and where they're planning to be. And so I support the cities doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. One of the things that Governor Phil Lyman has talked about was legislation that he would sign to overturn the flag that was changed.
Oh,
I know a lot of
Dan
people
McKay's
like it.
Flag bill.
Yeah, a lot of people like it. A lot of people don't like
Yeah.
it. What are your thoughts on that? Would you support that kind of legislation, or would you object to it?
So I signed the petition to allow that to go onto the ballot. I think that a state flag, let's let the people decide what they want their state flag to look like. But however, what disappointed me most was not necessarily the design change. It was that when eggs were $7, our legislature was talking about a flag. And I love Utah, and I'm proud to be from Utah, but my eggs were $7, and I was hoping the legislature was going to focus on that. So
how would the legislature focus on reducing the cost of eggs?
Yeah, so a lot of that comes down to you have to zoom out and look at the macro and micro level of what's going on in the market. And I think that as the government steps away from the market, really a lot of it had to do with the Fed, right? Messing with rates and things like that. I'm a conservative, and I believe that we should stay out of the market so that it's industry and the market that's essentially the consumer that's deciding those prices.
Okay.
Yeah.
One more thing, kind of switching gears to illegal immigration.
Okay.
A lot of people think that our state is incentivizing it. There's a lot of talk about a sanctuary state. We're not officially a sanctuary state, but a lot of people think we're incentivizing it with our programs like our driving privilege card that illegal immigrants are able to get. They're able to get, auto loans and mortgages, that kind of thing. What would you do to kind of, do you support that? Obviously,
I'll tell you what I do support. I support our sheriffs and our first responders and how they've explained to us that it's a major issue. So I fully support them and the decisions that they're making. When it comes to the real impact to Utah on that issue, it's happening in our schools. And so I'd like to see more support for our teachers who are dealing with the children of those families. And that comes through more additional aids in the classroom, multi-language aids in the classroom to ensure that they can get the education that they're here to receive. The border is a federal issue, but from a state, I can support our teachers and our first responders in that.
Okay. Cool. Thank you
so
very much. Thanks for running.
I appreciate the little interview. Yeah, thanks.
Yep.
County delegate, precinct chair.
Precinct chair, but not in your precinct. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. Somebody asked me to come up here, so I showed up. Thank you for running. Okay, so here's the question I had.
Yeah.
There was a lot of talk up here about our infrastructure and solutions for that. Do you think that public-private partnerships are good, and do you think that corporations should be involved in helping to fix our infrastructure?
Not necessarily, no. Again, there are rare circumstances where I would support.
Hold that.
There are rare circumstances where I would support public-private partnerships, but in general, I'm not a fan.
Okay. All right. There's obviously a big discussion with illegal immigration right now. It's a national conversation.
I've got a bill.
You do?
I do.
What is it?
So we can't submit anything until May 1st. So there's been a problem. Florida did something. So I'm looking at model legislation from Florida about squatters. And we really need to protect our private property rights. And right now, you can lose your home because squatters come in, and then because of our laws, you could lose your home. And we're seeing more of this because people are desperate. People come here without a plan, and then their plan is your house or your neighbor's house or a house. And so lawlessness reigns. Again, when people are desperate, they do desperate things. And so I want to preemptively do what Florida's done, because as we know, we're getting illegals shipped here. And we have the bill this session that says that we passed that says you have 3 days to notify the Attorney General or the Sheriff before they come. Well, it's not everything, right? But at least it's something that we could do on the state level. This really needs to be fixed at the federal level. But until they take money out of the equation, I don't think people will really want to fix this problem.
I like that. One of the things people talk about is that they feel like the state is incentivizing illegal immigration by giving driving privilege cards, which Florida doesn't have. Illegal immigrants can get mortgages and auto loans, that kind of thing.
So if you look at on these immigration websites, they recommend and they name Utah as a sanctuary state.
Correct.
Even though if we're not in name, it's obvious, right? So I'm not going to quibble over whether we are a quote-unquote sanctuary state. I don't believe that we are quote-unquote a sanctuary state, but if the policies that we have are akin to, then ineffectual, we are. So effectually we are. So there are things that we need to do to shore up, right? What we can do. The federal government needs to do more, but there are things that we could do too that would deter and make us a less attractive state in that regard.
True. I know there's a lot of talk on the federal level about, if Trump gets into office, they want to do, people are talking about mass deportations. And so one of the questions that people that I talk to have is, what do we do with people that are here in Utah, here illegally, they have a driving privilege card, they have a mortgage, they have an auto loan, they're working on a job, they're not committing crimes. What do we do with those people, at the state level?
Well, I mean, immigration is a multi-pronged issue, right? And one of the prongs is to have better legal pathways. So if you look back in the 1970s, I think early 1970s, don't quote me on the date, we had what was called the Bracero program. And what the Bracero program did is it allowed legally for immigrants from Mexico to come work on the agricultural season and return legally. Once they created that legal pathway, 91% of the illegal immigration went down just by legalizing it for that particular purpose. So when we create more legal pathways, we can deter some of the illegal pathways. But that's only one part. The border security and immigration are two different issues. I actually went down to the border in April of last year before Title 42 expired. And we went down to McAllen, Texas, and there on the Texas-Mexico border, we met with Border Patrol agents, we went to Catholic Charities, we met with private property owners on the Rio Grande, and it's so much bigger than even what we're shown in the media. And right, they don't need a contiguous wall, they need it in certain spots. The biggest problem, our Border Patrol agents, they were hired to patrol the border, but 75% of their work, according to them, is humanitarian care. Now, that's commendable, but that's not what they were hired for. But because people are coming across, they've been raped, they're dehydrated, all kinds of, all difficult circumstances. And so they're not able to do the job that they were hired to do. Another problem is we have a bunch of Border Patrol agents who are set to retire. And we are already 3,000 agents short. And so in order to retain some of those and keep the institutional knowledge and keep our numbers up, we need to consider like a pay increase for a retention bonus for those who choose to stay, who are set to retire. Another barrier that we talked to them about was they have in the hiring practices, they need to remove a barrier, which is a polygraph test. A polygraph test isn't even admissible in a court of law, so why should it be part of the hiring requirement? If they remove that, it's a very good paying job for people in that area. It does not require a college degree, and we could get our numbers back up to where they need to be by removing that. There's vegetation that needs to be cut down because they're hiding in it, and it goes on and on, but it's so much broader than I anticipated, and it was very eye-opening to go down and see it firsthand.
Gotcha. Okay. Last question. There's a lot of people that, especially in the Republican side, that are unhappy about the new flag. One of the things Phil Lyman's talked about, that if he becomes governor, he wants to see legislation to overturn that or send it to a vote or anything. Do you have any thoughts on that?
So I'm a fan of the original flag. I think they tried that, right, and it didn't. I don't think the political appetite is there. So, unfortunately, I think we're stuck with what we have until we get a body that feels differently. Until there's a majority that have that political appetite, I don't think that legislatively it's going to be overturned for now.
Okay. Cool. All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Good seeing you. I think you're doing a great job.
I'm trying. Not perfect.
All right. Here, hold that. If you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Okay.
This is fancy.
Let's get you a... All right. There was a lot of talk about our infrastructure and solutions for fixing that in the forum. What do you think about public-private partnerships? And do you think that corporations should be involved in our infrastructure?
So this is a good question, because I do think that there are aspects of transportation that I would like to see fully privatized. Like I mentioned today in the debate, public transit. Our bus systems and public transit cost a ton of money, and in most places where they operate, there's very little reward, meaning there are very few people that are actually taking advantage of that. I drive by way too many empty buses on the freeway, and I know that our tax dollars are funding those. So there are times where I feel like private enterprise can be more prudent, and they can put their own money at risk, not public money. So there are aspects of transportation that I'm okay with being privatized. That being said, the traditional outlook of public-private partnerships, I'm not in favor of. Is that okay?
Sure.
Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think about the new stadium bill?
The new stadium bill. This is a very divisive topic.
Yes, it is.
To be honest, it's not something that was anywhere on my priority list for the last legislative session, so I didn't look too closely at the bill. I'm not a sports aficionado myself. I'm not a huge fan of incredibly large tax incentives for very profitable industries. I think the state encouraging growth and development is a good thing. I think the bill asked for too much from taxpayers, and I would have opposed it as it sat.
Okay. There's a big national conversation going on about illegal immigration, which obviously is a federal issue to a certain degree, but a lot of people think that the state is incentivizing illegal immigration, particularly in Utah, with our driving privileges cards, which Florida doesn't have, and then illegal immigrants can get mortgages and car loans and stuff like that. What are your thoughts on that, and how do we fix the problem at a state level?
Yeah, so we have a really large and glaring problem here, and that problem is that we were declared a sanctuary state not very long ago. And a lot of that is because we're too afraid to step up to the federal government and say no. So as an example, in Utah, part of the reason we have that designation is we're largely a catch and release when it comes to criminals. I'm not just talking about illegal immigrants. I'm talking about illegal immigrants who have broken additional laws and have been arrested or apprehended. Because federal bureaucrats say that our prisons are good enough for citizens but not good enough for illegal immigrants, we're releasing known felons back onto our streets instead of standing up to federal bureaucracy and saying if these prisons are good enough for citizens, they're good enough for illegal immigrants. And if you've broken our laws, you deserve to be in prison. And if the feds aren't happy with that, then the feds can do their job and send them home. So the state needs to be a lot more bold in how we handle this problem of illegal immigration, particularly when it comes to individuals who are coming here, and not just coming here illegally, but breaking additional laws while they're here, committing felonies, violent crimes while they're here, and then just being released onto our streets.
Fair enough. What do you think? What do we do? There's a lot of talk about mass deportations of, as a solution to the problem, in addition to securing the border. But what do we do with people who are working here? They're not breaking laws. They're paying for a mortgage and an auto loan, but they're here illegally.
We do need to go after the largest problem first, and that's violent criminals and felons. So we have a major issue with illegal immigration right now, and we need to start by locking up and not releasing until they're being deported individuals who have committed violent crimes, dangerous crimes, drug paraphernalia, weapon crimes, anything to do with improper usage or ownership of a weapon, violent felonies, anything like that. They need to be locked up until they're deported. No excuses there. We do also, I think, need to have somewhat of a heart and compassion when it comes to other members of our community who are here and are endeavoring to do things correctly and are dealing with a broken immigration system and are unable to win the lottery and garnish or gain legal immigration status. So we need to reform our immigration process so it's easier for those people who are trying to come here to provide a positive contribution to our society and participate in a positive way in our communities. And that's why I'm not actually opposed to driving privilege cards, because individuals that are here that aren't breaking other laws, that are trying to contribute, we're better off if they have a safe means to get to and from work and they can participate in society and they can pay taxes. So there are certain measures that I'm actually okay with when it comes to individuals who are abiding by all other laws. I would like to create a system for them to gain citizenship and do things the right way if they're not breaking other laws.
Okay. New topic, last question. What do you think of the new flag?
The new flag. I think it's a flashy logo.
What?
A flashy logo.
Okay.
I don't find this as a top priority for me. A lot of people like it. A lot of people hate it. I say raise the flag that you like when it comes to the state flag. And I'm not really going to go to bat one way or another on this issue.
Would you support putting it to a vote?
I would support putting it to a vote.
Okay.
That's how it should have been done the first time. It's a marker, an indicator of our state, and all citizens should have been able to vote on that before it
Proponents say
was changed.
We have a representative democracy, so essentially it was put to a vote.
Yeah, something like that. It's too much a part of who we are as a state. It should have gone to a general population vote.
Cool.
Whether or not the process was legal and justifiable, it wasn't the right process. And we should be more democratic in our democratic republic.
Cool. I can appreciate that. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for running.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good day.
You too.